Are your diet choices doing more harm than good to your hypothyroid condition? I'm here to debunk the biggest and most dangerous food myths that could be leaving you feeling frustrated and exhausted. Hi everyone, I'm Dr. Mao, a triple board certified physician in New York City, and today we're diving deep into the world of hypothyroidism and gaining a clearer understanding of the foods that can make or break your health.
3, 2, 1.
Dr. Mauricio Gonzalez is a Mexican physician based in New York City.
If you suffer from hypothyroidism, then you know how tricky it is to know what to eat when it comes to managing this condition. In this video, I'll be revealing the truth behind the biggest myths about hypothyroidism so you can cut through all the misinformation out there and discover exactly what foods will support your journey. Are you ready? First, what exactly is hypothyroidism? Hypothyroidism is a condition in which the thyroid gland doesn't produce enough of the hormone thyroxine. The thyroid, as you all know, is a butterfly-shaped gland in the front of your neck that produces hormones that regulate your metabolism. Metabolism is the process by which your body converts food into energy. When you have hypothyroidism, your metabolism slows down, which can lead to weight gain, fatigue, and other symptoms. It can also, if left unchecked, raise your cholesterol and make you more prone to heart disease and osteoporosis. Now, let's start debunking. Myth number 1, you need to avoid all dairy products when you have hypothyroidism. One of the most common food myths out there in the world of hypothyroidism is that you should completely eliminate dairy from your diet. However, there is no scientific evidence to support this claim. In fact, dairy can be a great source of iodine, which is an essential nutrient for thyroid function. I am plant-based, I eat only plants, therefore I take a multivitamin for iodine, although it's not really needed since if you eat table salt, half of a teaspoon contains more than 50% of your daily recommended dose. However, some people may need to limit their intake of dairy if they have difficulty digesting it or if they have intolerance or allergies. Remember, it's always best to consult with your healthcare provider before making changes related to your hypothyroidism. Now, before moving on, don't forget to subscribe to my channel right now. Myth number 2, you need to stay away from gluten, even if you don't have celiac disease. Another big food myth out there in the world of hypothyroidism is that gluten needs to be avoided at all costs, even if you don't have celiac disease. However, there is no evidence to support this claim either. It is true that people with celiac disease need to avoid gluten because their immune system reacts to it and damages the lining of the small intestine. And this can lead to malabsorption of nutrients and cause a range of symptoms, including fatigue and weight loss. However, for people without celiac disease, there is no evidence that gluten has any negative effect on the thyroid function. There is some evidence to suggest that a gluten-free diet may benefit people with autoimmune diseases, such as Hashimoto's thyroiditis, which is a common cause of hypothyroidism. But the evidence is really poor and has not been verified in bigger studies. And when you stay away from whole grains, you also avoid fiber and B vitamins. Also, remember, whole grains protect your health in so many ways. It reduces your chances of suffering type 2 diabetes and cardiovascular disease. Myth number 3, soy is bad for your thyroid. Big myth, big myth. The idea that soy interferes with thyroid function stems from studies conducted in the 1950s, which found that rats fed high levels of soy develop goiters, a condition in which the thyroid gland enlarges. However, subsequent research has found that soy does not have the same effect on humans. In fact, soy contains compound called phytoestrogens, which can actually help regulate hormone levels in the body. These compounds bind to estrogen receptors in the body, increasing or decreasing estrogen activity depending on what is needed. Furthermore, a 2019 meta-analysis study published in Nature found that soy supplementation has no effect on the thyroid hormones and only very modestly raises TSH levels, but the clinical significance, if any, of the rise of TSH is unclear. In other simple words, it alters thyroid minimally, but we don't think this is relevant. While it's true that some studies have suggested that soy could interfere with absorption of the synthetic thyroid hormone medication, the evidence is mixed. Some studies have found no significant effect on thyroid hormone levels, while others have found a modest decrease in absorption. Nonetheless, it's important to discuss any concerns you may have about soy with your healthcare provider if you're taking thyroid medication. Overall, soy can be a healthy part of a balanced diet for people with hypothyroidism. In fact, soy is a good source of protein, fiber, and other nutrients that can support thyroid health. However, as with any food, it is important to consume soy in moderation as a part of a varied diet that includes plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, and lean protein sources. Myth number 4, eating too much cruciferous vegetables can impair thyroid function. A very common food myth surrounding hypothyroidism is that cruciferous vegetables such as broccoli, cabbage, and kale can impair thyroid function if consumed in excess, obviously. This myth stems from the fact that cruciferous vegetables contain goitrogens, which are compounds that can interfere with the uptake of iodine by the thyroid gland and therefore inhibit the production of thyroid hormones. While it's true that goitrogens can have these effects, the amount of cruciferous vegetables you would have to consume to have a significant impact on thyroid function is much higher than what you would typically eat in a normal varied diet. For example, one study found that consuming almost a liter of kale juice per day for 7 days did not alter the thyroid function significantly. Additionally, cooking cruciferous vegetables can reduce the goitrogenic effect on these foods. Research has shown that boiling, steaming, or microwaving cruciferous vegetables can reduce their goitrogen content by 50% in average. In summary, while it's true that cruciferous vegetables contain goitrogens that can interfere with thyroid function if consumed in excess, the amount you would need to eat to have a significant impact is unlikely to be consumed through a normal, varied diet. And cooking these vegetables reduces the goitrogen content. So, myth number 5, avoiding caffeine completely is necessary for those with hypothyroidism. Thank God, no. It is a very common myth that people that suffer hypothyroidism need to stay away from caffeine. The thought behind this myth is that caffeine can interfere with absorption of thyroid hormone medication and exacerbate symptoms such as jitteriness, anxiety, and difficulty sleeping. While it's true that excessive caffeine consumption can worsen these symptoms, the argument that caffeine must be avoided entirely is not supported by scientific research. However, just to err on the side of caution, I personally recommend my patients to avoid coffee up until 60 minutes after you take your thyroid medication. And the same with soy, calcium, and other supplements. In fact, some studies suggest that caffeine may have a positive effect on thyroid function. One study actually found that caffeine intake was associated with lower risk of developing thyroid cancer, but honestly, it wasn't a great study. In summary, avoiding caffeine entirely is not necessary for individuals with hypothyroidism. Moderate caffeine consumption is unlikely to have a significant impact on thyroid function and may even have potential health benefits. As with any food or beverage, remember, it's important to consume in moderation. But remember, if you do not want to drink coffee, it's fine, there's always room for tea. Myth number 6, eating certain foods will cure hypothyroidism. Another common myth surrounding hypothyroidism, propelled by dozens of books, is that there are certain foods or supplements that can actually cure this condition. While it's true that a healthy diet is important for overall health, there is no one food or nutrient that can cure hypothyroidism. It's also important to know that while certain nutrients such as iodine and selenium are important for thyroid function, supplementing with these nutrients is only necessary if you have a deficiency. In fact, too much iodine can actually worsen hypothyroidism in some individuals. Instead of focusing on specific foods or supplements, it's important to focus on a balanced diet that includes plenty of fruits, vegetables, whole grains, lean proteins, and healthy fats. This can support overall health and may indirectly support thyroid function. Okay, in summary, there is no one food or nutrient that can cure hypothyroidism. Instead, focus on a balanced diet. Eating a healthy and varied diet, taking medications as prescribed, and monitoring thyroid hormone levels can all help support thyroid function and overall health. And don't forget to enjoy life. If you like my videos, please subscribe to my channel right now and let's keep learning. Dr. Mao explains.
3, 2, 1.